Hello everyone, this video is in response to a request for a video about the mysterious Lyden gland. Thank you for your request first of all. Now this gland is veiled in mystery, seldom documented and hardly ever mentioned in the mainstream forum. This is probably because masters consider the energy laying within the Lyden gland so potent that on one hand it can assist metaphysicians with healing and useful altruistic psychic abilities, but on the other hand, if misused, it can cause psychosis and other life-altering conditions. The Lyden, synonymous with Laden and Leydig, has an incredible secret relationship with the pineal gland, and together these two are said to be the seat of the soul. Let's explore. In both the God design and elevation, the Lyden gland was mentioned in relation to the sacral or navel energy center, the chakra below the solar plexus, which is also known as the Swadhisthana chakra, and it corresponds with the disciple Judas, who we've looked at in previous videos, and it corresponds to the church of Smyrna in the book of Revelation. Smyrna symbolizes the substance center in the body, and that's what the Swadhisthana really is. Metaphysically, Smyrna, from the Greek root myrrh, means flowing or distilling. Swa, as in Swadhisthana, means my own place, I amness, and his means established. So in this way, Swadhisthana, the sacral navel chakra associated with the Lyden gland of the endocrine system, is the place where the I am is established. Again, esoteric teachings say that together the pineal gland at the top of the endocrine system and the Lyden gland near the bottom form the seat of the soul. The soul is associated with the fluids or waters of the body, as is the sacral chakra, which controls and balances our inner waters. Manly P. Hall equated the sacral chakra with the biblical city of Sodom, known metaphysically as a place of hidden intrigue. This is interesting since George Carey refers to the Lyden gland as the narthex of the body. A narthex is a concealed box or a receptacle of unguents. Unguents are ointments for consecration and medicinal purposes. He says that the narthex is physiological and that after much deliberation he proved it to be a symbol for the female glands of Bartholin relating to the Skene's glands and the male Cowper glands. Now these glands in men and women respectively produce a lubricating oil, so an unguent. As I expected, the culmination of my research also suggests that Carey was correct. What were once referred to as the Leydig or Lyden glands are now more commonly known as the bulbourethral glands, akin to the Cowper glands in males and the Bartholin or Skene's glands in females. These do secrete clear mineral-dense fluids which are released during sexual arousal. And if climax occurs, these sacred fluids combine with and carry the spermatozoa, and the essences are said to be lost or wasted. Now this is all aligned with the sacred secretion, also known as the Great Regeneration, which was described in the Cell of Life. Let's take a quick look. If not wasted, released, these essences are reabsorbed by the body and become the soil in the spleen or manger. The soil is the materials available for stem cell production. Since the procreative essences are rich in electricity or life force, specifically the electrons of nitrogen and phosphorus, minerals and nutrients, saving it improves the quality and volume of the soil in the spleen. This is what's known as the offering up of animals' procreative germs. If the soil in the spleen is enriched by the reabsorbed procreative essences, the cells produced there will be remarkable also. In other words, seed retention, no-fap, or the preserving and raising of sexual energy and essences is vital to the overall process of enlightenment and the regeneration of all our bodily sheaths. Edgar Cayce refers to the pineal and Lyden glands as the open door and the closed door respectively. Some Eastern texts call them the jade gate and the lower gate. Cayce noted an intrinsic connection between the Lyden and the pineal, which is now validated by modern science. For example, when the pineal is stimulated by light, it affects the Lyden's production of sex hormones and procreative essences. If we raise these essences through the body, it furnishes our inner vision, our supernatural sight, or our third eye of seeing. It furnishes it with life force, with the kundalini or the creative principle. And due to the chemicalization produced through this connection, we also feel more creative, more aligned, motivated, enthusiastic, joyful, and cognitively able as a result. Confidence like blossoms, all these wonderful things. The open door pineal and the closed door Lyden are also said to be connected by a fine cord or thread. Now, we know that the pineal gland is suspended and bathed in cerebrospinal fluid, so CSF or Christ oil. And we also know that it has a nerve or cord running through it. Well, according to Cayce, this cord, nerve or nadi, travels all the way down from the pineal, down the spine, through each nerve plexus or chakra to the Lyden gland and eventually to the coccygeal body. He alludes to the fact that this cord is the very first manifestation of our physical body. If you like, it's the seed or zygote that becomes the person and really is the beginning of each individual I am, with its head or its nucleus in or as the pineal gland and its tail at the base of the spine. This is even more interesting when we consider that the word tail means oil in Sanskrit. The book Aham Self also discusses how the initial zygote seed from which each person, every one of us, develops in the womb is present in the body throughout life as the pineal gland. In this way, the pineal gland really does correlate with both the individual I am identity and the divine all-pervading I am within every cell and atom and electron and so on and so forth. Cayce said the pineal runs all the way through the system and coordinates all mental and physical action. He even refers to the chakras as pineal centers. Now, for me, this really builds a clear picture of the pineal as not only a small gland in the head, but with an extension cord reaching through the central nervous system and governing our energy centers, including that Lyden gland as well. Lyden means sealed, which gives a nod to the book of Revelations and the 7 seals that are talked about within it. The Lyden gland is revered as the inner spiritual center that holds and protects a potent energy that could allow people to perform miracles. As with all other sacred secrets, this information has been suppressed for various reasons. One being that if the gland's power is misused for selfish reasons, the energy can distort the ego and potentially drive the individual mad. The endocrine glands govern the transformational bridge between mind, spiritual, and matter, physical, between energy as spirit, invisible, and energy as physical events, visible. We actually experience this bridge through our feelings because our feelings are sensitive to spirit as well as to physicality, like our other sensations. The other sensations of our feelings can interact with physicality. Images in the imagination arrive first from feelings, and whatever we image affects our reality. So mastering this system is what makes the art of considered manifestation possible. The long thread or silver cord connecting the Lyden and the pineal glands is also known as the Appian Way. In this way, the Lyden serves as an anchor point for the etheric body, the spiritual body. As one travels the path of enlightenment, it becomes vital to the spiritual being, to the solar body that's developing within the initiate along that course. Now let's take a quick look at the lower chakras in relation to the biblical creation story. So the Bible says that on the first day the world was created formless and void, meaning everything is created from no thing. But then there was light, so consciousness and energy coagulating aggregations and entities that gradually work up into electrons, then atoms, then cells, then systems, and so on, eventually manifesting as reality. Now this is all related to the root, to the earth chakra. The second day of creation is all about the waters above and below the firmament. And this corresponds with the second spiritual center and the Lyden gland, which are also concerned with water. As without, so within. The second day and the second chakra provide the purification of the energy that was created on day one, or the energy that was created in or via the root chakra. As Casey said in reading 294142, the generative organism, root chakra, is the motor, and the Lyden is a sealed or open door. In other words, the root chakra generates energy in its basic, raw and animalistic form. Our most instinctive base desire is of self-gratification in various forms. The purifying of the energy begins at the sacral chakra, and so the basic energy can be purified and transmuted to modify and to upgrade that raw desire. According to tradition, energy assimilation begins with the reproductive organs, which are responsible for physical activity. If all the psychic energy remains in the reproductive organs, the individual will become over-preoccupied with sex. When the energy is raised to the Lyden gland, sexual impulses will be purified and the energy vibrations prepared for further elevation. Nevertheless, the Lyden is still located in the lower region of the body and is responsive to the emotions, particularly those of a negative type. The individual must desire to lift the prana still further to the adrenals, where a choice can be made between succumbing to the emotions or purifying and letting go of the self or ego, so the life force can ascend to the thymus region, where true balance between the lower and upper glands takes place. The coiled energy of kundalini is described as being hidden within the Lyden gland. And again, the term Lyden means sealed or closed door, which implies a containment or a regulation of force. This symbolism suggests that the dormant kundalini energy, often depicted as being coiled 3.5 times at the base of the spine, is energetically sealed within the Lyden gland until it undergoes a process of awakening or activation. Of course, the 3.5 coils points to the 3.5 days that Jesus spent in the tomb, and to the time that the moon spends in each sun sign. According to Harold Percival in Thinking and Destiny, this is the time phase when the sacred secretion, Christ seed, is traveling through the lower chakras. So it makes sense that we're advised to save seed or to practice retention at this time. Other teachings say the kundalini serpent has 9 rattles. Firstly, 9 symbolizes the upward swimming fish or life force, and secondly, the total fused vertebrae in the coccyx and sacrum, so 4 and 5 add up to 9, which is a parallel to those 9 rattles of the kundalini serpent. The Lyden gland is said to give balance to the raw energy that rises from the root chakra, giving that energy either a positive charge, which would travel through the Pingala Nadi, or a negative charge, which would travel through the Ida Nadi, and that these charges will be more balanced when we are in a state of balance, when our attitudes and thoughts are not excessively negative or excessively positive, but they're balanced because we're walking the straight and narrow path of truth. The navel Lyden and the crown pineal centers have a powerful magnetism between them. The crown is always ready to illuminate and elevate, but individuals must open the navel center before they can begin to transcend and transform. Reconnecting these 2 centers is key to restoring our connection to the divine within. So in conclusion, it's important to remember that the Lyden gland and the pineal gland engage in an alchemical dance that shapes the spiritual and physical realms within us. What we've discovered is that as we navigate through esoteric teachings, biblical connections, and alchemical processes, a clear picture emerges of the role of the Lyden gland in transmuting base energies into powerful spiritual forces that can rise through the body. The Lyden gland stands as a guardian of potent energies, offering both healing and psychic abilities, yet demanding reverence to prevent the potential distortion of the ego. The interconnectedness of the endocrine glands and their secretions holds the key to enlightenment and the regeneration of our inner selves. Before we wrap up, I would like to offer a few healthy and balanced ways to activate and open the sacral chakra in alignment with the Lyden gland. So one would be gentle, so not forced or exaggerated diaphragmatic breathing, such as the exercise featured in this previous video, which activates the sacral pump at the bottom of the spine, causing an increased flow of CSF or Christ oil through the nerve plexuses or chakras. The dome-shaped diaphragm contracts down on the sacrum on the inhalation, encouraging the free flow of life force and biochemicals in this lower area, and consequently up the spinal cord toward the brain. The second way is, of course, practicing seed retention, specifically when the moon is in your sun sign, which improves the concentration of nutrients, minerals, and life force energy in the procreative essences that are to be reabsorbed into the body. Thirdly, you can use yoga postures such as butterfly, which will clear emotional imprints and toxin blockages in the lymph channels and nodes of this area, assisting with overall sacral chakra health. And walking and general stretches are also fantastic. The mantra Balm has a vibratory frequency that will resonate with the sacral chakra, causing it to relax and its secretions to harmonize, assisting the organs and nerves of that area and consequently the rest of the endocrine system. Lastly, affirmations such as I embrace the full spectrum of my emotions with love and acceptance. I am a conduit for creative energy which flows through me freely. I release all shame and guilt. I am not my past. All is water under the bridge. I am free and I am forgiven. These types of affirmations will really help any old programs held in the sacral chakra to be released and transmuted. Thank you so much for watching. As always, the links to my courses, to my books and other resources can be found in the description box below this video. May divine light manifest itself in you all, always and in all ways. Namaste.